Hi guys, this week we're starting our new unit on biotechnology. Biotechnology is using or modifying living organisms to solve a problem, and it's actually a really big field here in North Carolina. Research Triangle Park has a lot of companies that work with biotechnology, especially to make new medicines. So there are several different applications of biotechnology. Here you see the definition again written out, but biotechnology relates to making new fuels, cleaning up the environment, modifying organisms, cloning, and curing diseases. So one area of biotechnology is biofuels, which is creating energies that are derived from renewable sources from living things. So ethanol is something that comes from corn. Biodiesel, this is important because it can help us to create cleaner energy sources than the fossil fuels that we're currently using. Genetic engineering is manipulating cells or organisms and changing their genes. This is often done using a virus to insert the new gene into a bacteria or into a different type of cell. Example of that is that human insulin can be inserted into bacteria to help treat diabetes. So people who don't make their own insulin can get this bacteria to make insulin for their bodies so that they can break down glucose and live a more normal life. Bioremediation is using bacteria or other microbes to clean up the environment. Example of this that's normally talked about is creating bacteria that can actually digest the oil, which normally would be very harmful to marine ecosystems and organisms. It's a easier way to clean up the oil than using a chemical or a dispersant to do that. Another area of biotechnology is creating genetically modified organisms. These are also called GMOs, and this is often talked about in terms of food and nutrition. So plants or animals can be modified to get new genes, and this is sometimes to make them more suitable to humans. So maybe it's a chicken like you see here that will grow larger so that it produces more meat, or a plant that's resistant to diseases that would cause food to be in a shortage. There's a lot of debate about using or consuming or selling genetically modified organisms in stores and restaurants because we're not really sure what the effects are. Here are some examples of genetically modified plants, which are what we use for food. So just some examples here are pest resistance, herbicide resistance, even down to potentially putting a vaccine into a banana to provide immunity to hepatitis. So imagine that you wouldn't have to get a shot to be preventing a disease. You could just eat a banana and have the vaccine. Another type of genetically modified organisms are genetically modified animals. They can be used to study different diseases, such as this mouse here. One super cool genetically modified animal are these glowfish. They receive a jellyfish gene that gives them bioluminescence, and so they actually can glow. And they've also done this with mice. It can be used to help with disease treatment and gene therapy, especially for genetic diseases. Cloning is a really interesting area of biotechnology, which involves making a brand new genetically identical organism. The first animal that experienced this was a sheep named Dolly. And something to note about clones is that if you were to clone an animal, that animal would go through life starting when it was cloned. So you wouldn't put a sheep through a cloning machine and create a identical sheep exactly the same age. You would create a baby sheep that is genetically exactly the same as the one that you cloned. Cloning is something that has not been done on humans yet, mostly for ethical reasons. which brings us to the discussion of ethics in biotechnology. Ethics means making the decision to do what's right or what's morally sound. There's a lot of debate surrounding ethics in biotechnology because you are modifying living things and making choices about what's right and what's not right when you're dealing with life. And so it is a big debate when you're modifying living things, animals, less so with plants, but especially with humans and animals. There's a lot of debate about where the line is between what's okay to do and what's not. That's it for this time. Next week we'll be talking about different careers in biotechnology.